we're going to do a part 2 about this same chart, Susan, and we have looked at the incarnation cross already. We did look at the generator authority, the generator type, and the sacral authority. And I was saying in the last video that the 360 is like a pulse. It's going to tell you, okay, something is about to shift. There is something that wants to mutate. And that's where I think you can feel that in work. I want to speak a little bit in this part about the open centers, because it's not very common to have 3 open centers. When I see people at a certain awareness level with 3 open centers, I always feel like this is part of what you are here to give back to the world professionally. Because when you have deconditioned enough, you're kind of safe. You're enough yourself to live a life that is good enough, you know, where you can be you. But that's where also you want to serve the whole. Like Richard Rudd says, the grail question is, how can I serve the whole? So at a certain level of awareness, when you have deconditioned enough so that you are in your true self, it's kind of time to expand that and also give back to the world. And when you have 3 centers that are completely white, you know, often there's only 1 center, and I'm like, okay, here is where you're giving, where your soul already worked through a lot of this in another lifetime. So now you can bring that wisdom, because that's what the open centers are. You're a filter for energy that comes in, and you can become really wise and give that back to the world. So here we need to kind of thread the open head, the open G, and the open emotion center. And I would say that the easiest way of looking at it is that here you're going to help people to overcome the not self. So the not self of the head center is to think about things that doesn't matter, which is the same thing as having the lower frequencies of those keys. So doubt, psychosis, and confusion. That's the not self that you are here to transform for the head center. When it comes to the G center, it's about outsourcing your life on somebody else. And that's what I said in the last recording, that you in the beginning of your life, or even now, could do when you kind of forget about who you truly are. So here it is making sure that you know who you are, you know what love is, you know where you're going. And then the emotional center is avoiding confrontation and truth. So always kind of being aware of the other, so that you are avoiding to feel everything, all these distorted emotions, turbulence, dishonor, weakness, conflict, reaction, victimization, and desire. So in order to not have to feel that in the field and amplify it in you avoid confrontation and truth. But with those 3 together, what could that be? You know, how could you do all these things in terms of your profession? Well, that is a good question, but it really feels like it is, you know, helping people to come back to themselves. And when I look at your circuitry, I mean, this is tribal here with the 32, 40, 54 and the 50, 27. So it might be that you have a natural role in a community where these things are happening. I also see with the, here we have, this is collective. So I see how you could be that for an organization. And at the same time, it's important that you get to kind of live off the pulse that's in you, that's very individual in a way. But maybe when we look at these centers and how the not self, like you're kind of mirroring this back at people when they are not being themselves, when they are not following their own direction, when they are stuck in psychosis, doubt, and confusion. You know, that's what you can mirror back to people. So what is it that you're doing if we look from a Gene Key perspective? And then we would look at the pearl sequence and we would say, okay, your essence is to be, it's to be a master of storytelling. Your voice is extremely potent, 5th line, and you're here to be a medicine woman and a storyteller. That's the way it's happening. We go back here, we see you have a very defined throat. Yeah, I believe it. You have versatility. You have this comedian here. You have the precision. You have the medicine woman. Of course, I see how you're a very potent storyteller. Part of that is to overcome the fear of failure. That is not going to work, and that it's not, you know, that is not sustainable. Like that's something you need to overcome. There's also something with the storytelling that is very visionary, that is not in the details. It's much more, I mean, it's very interesting. It is in the details when we look at 62, and it's beyond the details in the 6th line. So possibly you have the whole range. Possibly that's what you do. You go from it's hologenetic. It goes from the smallest detail to the biggest vision. That's how vast the way that you are communicating is. And life's work is the comedian, the storyteller. So there is some way that you're telling your story. And I can see when I look at the complex of the throat and the ajna, I think that even writing is a possibility, because the 16 and the 62 could possibly be writing, but it could also be that you are, in one way or another, you're embodying those qualities and you're sharing them in the tribe. I could also see that. I see that generationally as well, you have powerful priestess Virgo activations, the 47. It's part of the code ring of alchemy, and it's about alchemizing oppression. It's about the transcending oppression. So that's something that could also be part of how you're helping people to realize their direction, their truth in those centers. It also, even if this center is not completely open, it's also about what are, as human beings, what are we trying to prove? There is something there where you have probably realized that if we are trying to prove what the society tells us to be, we're going to become exhausted, and we're going to try to control everything. And that's going to lead to more confusion, psychosis, and doubt. So much more tuning into the earth element of Virgo, this mutable earth, that the body is always in movement, and the truth is in there, and the truth is here to allow us to transcend the hurt that's imprinted in the body. And the last place I kind of want to go to is the nodes. So I see that you go from a Scorpio South node that is very kind of about risk taking, which I think some of the risk in the venture that you probably have taken with your open G, all the love stories, maybe of them were maybe a bit unfounded risk taking. So that's really cool to have that, to dare in life. But the North node, the trajectory of where you're going, it's more to a Taurus reality, and it's about nurturing. It's about earth element again. It's about receptive femininity. So you have that. I don't have your astrology chart, but these are opposite in the wheel as well. So you have Scorpio and Taurus, and both of them are feminine. So you are here to embody the feminine, but it goes from a little bit more of the dark feminine. Well, both we could say, because both are, Taurus is also very earthy, but I believe that instead of doing unfounded risks that are maybe not even based on what you think or what you feel, you're going to take steps in your life that are very much more informed by your senses, what feels right. That 27 is Taurus. So it goes by all the senses. You also have the spleen here. That's very much the senses. The sacral is very much the yes and no of the body. So allowing your body to tell you the truth. It's really where it comes to. That's a lot of information in one go, but I think we touched on everything that you have here in your pearl. Of course, it's kind of the pathway of individuation. So it's important that intimacy is there. It's important that equilibrium is there. It's important that you have your versatility. Those three are important in order for you to be the storyteller that you're here to be, which is powerful. And I would say there's going to be projection on you when you completely embody that North node of the 27, the Taurus energy, and you also step into your life's work and your pearl. But you don't, I would say, just know that you're here to follow your own truth. And you can have actually kind of many identities with that completely open G. So depending on what tribe you're in, the way that your storyteller expresses itself is going to look different. Thank you.